Hello guys, in this video I will show you lots of tips to make your factory making super easy. When I first played this game, I made my factory and it later became such a big mess that I restarted entire game because fixing it was even a bigger task. I then watched tips videos online to improve my game, but it still wasn't enough and my factories were still a mess. So I decided to make my own tips video after hundreds of hours of playing, which you won't find in any other video. And these tips are focused on making your factory super easy and getting away with issues long before you realize it. So let's get started. Like many people, when we start a new game, we start from resources near our ship and keep building miners on these resources until space runs out. Well, let me tell you, stop doing this. This is the biggest mistakes many people make, which makes them suffer later on. Density of the starter resources is very low. If you keep building on this, very soon your resources will run out. Once that happens, depending on your factory design, you either have to remove large parts of your factory and make new setups of resource extraction from very far area, or maybe almost destroy entire factory and make a new one from scratch. Regardless, many people simply leave old game and start over on a new game again because it's too much hassle to fix old setups. To avoid this at any stage of game, instead of making large factories on starter resources, only barely use it for making small important building materials. Do not make large factories on it. And for further large factories, use dedicated patches for each setup. For example, this was my first large-scale steel production factory, and I used this dedicated patch for its raw materials. And in future, if I go low on the resources, I can simply add more miners, as I have plenty of space here. And finally, the further away you go, the more denser the resource patches become. As you can see, starter resource is 11 million. While you go further, it increases. Over here it's 755 million, and as we go further, we can see 1.2G, 1.7G, and even bigger. This is also the reason I am expanding my factory in pretty much straight line, so I can go as far as possible for more dense patches. When it comes to science packs, go ahead and make red and green science packs in automated way from start. They don't require much space and resources, and you can easily do it in starter patches. When you unlock new sciences, it becomes more and more difficult to make them and require lots of resources. You can make dedicated plant far away from factory for military like science, as you can see. I made here on the resource patch. It has all the resources it needs here. But when it comes to blue science, before automating its plant, make it manually here. Blue science is more difficult to make compared to military, and when you make it manually and unlock new technologies, you will be able to make large factories much more easier. So, when I unlocked a red and green science, before proceeding on black science, what I actually did is basically created this setup. All this setup was basically to create blue science. Once I made blue science manually and unlocked all the technologies, as you can see, furnaces and other things, etc., I made things like cars, which I invented from blue science, and took my resources there and created the military science and the blue science factory. Technologies like cars, tanks, drones, exoskeletons, advanced batteries, portable fusion reactors, and whatnot will make your factory making much easier. Same thing for purple science. I first made it manually in this same factory over here, and when I unlocked all technologies, I then went off and created purple science factory, which you can see over here, and making it was even more easier because I had more advanced technologies for building my factories. And finally, same thing for yellow science. As you can see, yellow science is way complicated. All this structure from this area, all this include these things, there's everything. This is the biggest setup if you compare it to even my main base. My main base is actually smaller, and these other sciences are way smaller. So this is a very large base. Thanks to advanced technologies I unlocked, I was able to make it very fast. So in summary, before proceeding on automating its plant, make it manually first, then make the plant. It will be much easier. Like many, we use small electric poles or large electric poles mostly. But once you unlock it, start using medium electric poles for your factories because they make making large factories much easier and less hassle. Make a small factory for its production so they are always available for you. I realized this at very end when I was working on my Megaways. Use medium poles and you will never look at using small poles again. Another thing I realized in this game is that using an array system will greatly reduce time to make new factories. Let me show you a practical example. This is my first array setup. I used it for making important equipment for my base. All my complex materials are just from these two resources, copper and metal. And this is my second array setup. I kept adding more resources to my array system as I unlocked new technologies. And from this I make very difficult things like blue chips, batteries, robot frames, and blue belts very easily. Once you are done with your first array system, make an automated plan for most important tools from it, if you don't have it already. As you can see, I make important common things I use here. Over here we see basic inverters and miners, belts and assembly machines. By the time of making this, these were the most advanced technologies I had. Right now I have far more advanced technologies unlocked. But regardless, make these first and it will make your job very easy. This will severely increase your factory building speed. In case your array system is not able to hold an additional load of more factories, no problem, just come over here just like I did, and over here I made a separate small factory for large electric poles and other things too. This will sound very strange at first, but try using assembly machine 1 as much as possible. Biggest reason behind this is crafting speed. Assembly machine 1 has crafting speed of 0.5, which basically means half the speed. And when you are making calculations for your factories, it's very easy to calculate using 0.5 number. Assembly machine 2 has crafting speed of 0.75, and as you can guess, making calculations at 3/4 speeds is complex. And finally, assembly machine 3 has crafting speed of 1.25, which is 5/4, and again it makes calculations complex and you are most likely to make an error. Reason 2 is as you make very large factories, you will make miscalculations where there will be bottlenecks, in which case you will have to make more factories, but sometimes you cannot do it due to space constraints. If such situation arises, all you have to do is just upgrade one factory. Over here you can see I upgraded these two factories to meet proper demand. And if you think advanced factory will be more power efficient, well, you are wrong. Assembly machine 2 is 50% faster than assembly machine 1 but uses double the power. Similar story for assembly machine 3. It uses more power compared to speed boosts. Using assembly machine 1 is the most power efficient way. As soon as you unlock solar power, use it. Use whatever you like later on, but in start of game, use solar. Reason 1. It will increase your pollution output a lot. Coal power makes lots of pollution and it will attract biters, which will make your life very difficult. Dealing with enemies will be difficult in start, but later on it will become much easier. So keep your pollution low in start of game. Another sub tip here. Instead of making one large solar array for all factories, make solar plants for each factory as you make it, and then later connect it to main grid to further balance its power. Let me show you example. Over here I made a small factory. This is a factory for producing green chips. As you can see, all these components belong to this factory. So once you make your entire structure, determine its power requirements. I will tell you a very easy way to determine the power requirement of your factory, but for now let's concentrate on this. Each solar panel produces 60 kilowatt of electricity. Multiply it by, let's just say 10, it will create 600 kilowatt. Multiplied by 100, it creates 6 megawatt. So do your calculation and make the relevant amount of solar panels. I have automated plant for solar panels as well as batteries, or in this game it's called accumulators. Where is it? There it is. So you can see this is an automated plant for it. Whenever I need to make a solar plant, I just come here, take the relevant amount of solar panels and build my plant. Now I'm going to show you an easy way to determine how much power your factory needs. So As you can see, let's just say we make a factory. Let's just say this is our factory. So this is, let's just say, our entire setup. Before connecting our setup to grid, what we will do is to come here and click this, and over here it says 562 kilowatt of power. This is the maximum amount of power that will be required to run this factory. Let's do a little calculation. So each solar panel is 60 kilowatt. So if we make 10 of these, we will have 600 kilowatt of electricity, which is close to this thing. But we also need to keep in mind that at night time, solar panels will not be producing electricity, so we need to produce more power than required. What I do is, let's just say in this case I need 10 solar panels. So what I will do is I will actually create 15 solar panels. Let me actually show you. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I will simply copy paste it to. This is why drones really make your job very easy. And simply 15 accumulators too. So if we copy paste it, we will actually get 16 accumulators, but that's fine for me. Now what I will do is to connect it. Don't worry about the design of this, I will show you proper design for it. And here's why I told you earlier not to connect it with the grid early. If you do that, watch, it no longer shows you proper wattage. Now it is showing 900 kilowatt, that's because the batteries are actually charging, but let's just wait for the batteries to charge. Now as batteries are charged, you can see it is actually showing 17 kilowatt right now. So before connecting a solar grid, make sure that you know how much power will be required. And once you are finally done, once you are done with your factory and its power setup, just simply in the end connect it to a main grid, and this way your electrical grid will further stabilize. Let me actually show you here. As you can see, once I made this power for this setup, I finally in the end connected it to my main grid for further stabilization. This is the case with all the other solar setups too. As you can see, this setup is for this factory, this one is for this factory, this one for this, and this one, these are batteries and these are all solar panels, and this one is for this factory. These solar panels are for this factory, and this one is for nuclear setup only. This is the only solar setup which is not connected to my main grid. This nuclear setup has its own independent power setup. Now I will also show you a design regarding solar setups. So I actually have made one. This is something I just like, and oh yeah, there it is. So as you can see, I will make it here. So this is the typical design I use for all my solar setups. Now batteries, now we have a little bit of empty space in here, so what I do, I just fill it with batteries, and all the other extra batteries I just make it. I have a separate setup for it here. I keep making these until I have enough batteries. Speaking of power, start using SR latches to disable coal plants. When you make solar power, you will realize that at night time, instead of batteries, your factory will use coal power. To avoid this, you need to make SR latches. It disconnects power from my plant and will only connect if my battery power is dangerously low, and then disable again when things are stable. So here is my first SR latch. I use this to disable my main power plant. It uses switch to turn on and off automatically. There is a slight problem with this SR latch setup. What happens is that while it remains disconnected, these inserters actually still use power when they are not working. You can actually find this out. It uses 13.6 kilowatt of power, which is very little, but they still do use power. So at night time, right now in daytime, solar powers are active. As you can see, this is providing power to it, but when night time occurs, it will instead of using battery power, the coal plants will start working. But as there is no load, the only load on this plant are these inserters, so the coal usage is very minimal. It hardly uses any coal. But in my second design, I actually fixed this. So If we come over here, here is my second coal power plant. I made this coal power plant for backup too in case it's needed. This one is little different. As you can see, if you come here at the SR latch, it is connected to water pump instead of a button. And here is how it works. Basically, it provides water to this factory, and without factory these steam engines just won't work. So even if it's night time and my batteries are at decent power, this water pump will just not work. But if my batteries go dangerously low, then this water pump will start working and will supply water to my entire steam plant. With this method, the benefit of this method is that at night time my coal power plant will not work. It remains disabled forever. It only works until batteries get very low and the pump starts working. And as long as there is no water, the coal power plant, the steam engines just cannot work without water. And here is my most complex SR latch for my 1.2 gigawatt nuclear power plant. This is my backup power for my mega base currently in progress. Well, you can see the SR latch actually here. The entire design of this nuclear power plant, it works in such a way that it's part of the SR latch. So when you make SR latch in the beginning, the simple ones you can later on figure out how to make it for nuclear power plant. But if you cannot make it for nuclear power plants, no problem. Just message me in comments and I will show a detailed tutorial on how to make SR latches for nuclear power plants. When you first unlock oil processing, it will be called basic oil processing, and it's not very efficient. You will run out of oil resources very quickly. Use basic oil processing very carefully, only to make red chips, sulfur and plastics. Here are the red chips, sulfur and plastics. These cannot be made without oil. You will need these to advance in science, and once you unlock advanced oil processing, which is over here, go ahead and make oil from that. Here is my basic oil processing plant. You can see that it's a very small plant. Once I unlocked advanced oil processing, which is this one, I made this massive production plant for myself. This massive plant provides oil to my entire mega base. And trains, as you can see these trains provide oil to my base from faraway locations. The further you go, the higher the yield will be. So let's just say I ran out of these oil resources, no problem. I can simply go to here, and even further if required. This is very important. You need to learn using trains properly, or this game will become very difficult. Trains are not difficult, but learning these rail signals can be difficult for new players. Once you understand how signals work, you are ready to use trains on massive scales. I was avoiding trains in my first gameplays and it just wasn't helping at all. Another thing to keep in mind is to collect surplus materials from your factories. As you can see here, any surplus materials that is left from production is collected over here, which I later use in game for making certain things. Science-packed factories make very advanced materials, and it's best that you collect it. So over here you can see the military science. It makes lots of ammo, walls and grenades, and all the surplus materials that I don't need, that my factories don't need, it actually comes here and it's collected in these boxes. Same things for blue science. As you can see, all the surplus engines and red chips are collected in these boxes. If you go to purple ones, the same things. You can see efficiency modules and in these electric furnaces, I collect them. There's also train tracks required for it, but I already have automated plants for this, lots of automated plants for train tracks, so I don't really collect it, but you can if you want to. And similarly, the yellow science, as you can see, I am collecting drone robot frames and graphene as well as blue chips, and all of these are very difficult to make. So you can collect lots of useful things, and let me tell you something. There will come rare times when you will need lots of advanced products, and this method will save you lots of time if you collect surplus material. So it's always good to have lots of advanced material ready in your inventory in case you need them. Start using drones as soon as they are unlocked. They will make factory making very easy. You can create large complex structures in mere seconds. At first, your drones will be slow and its area of production will be very small, but later you can have lots of robots in your inventory and lots of fast drones to do your work. You will have to wait until you unlock the higher speeds and advanced robots using science. So as you can see here, once you start making solar panels, you will realize that solar panels have lots of parts and it takes time. It takes quite some time to make a design like this. But if you have drones, it takes mere a second to make as well as a second to destroy. It's very fast. Initially, you will unlock this personal robot. You can have few of them in your inventory, and this one has a robot limit of 10. So you can have, let's just say you have 4 robots, you can have 20 drones with yourself, and later on when you unlock this advanced robot, it will also give you a larger construction area as well as 25 robots per robot. So this one is much better, though it will be unlocked later on. When you make drones, make lots of blueprints for different things. For example, here is blueprint for oil processing. With this blueprint, I can make an entire refinery in mere seconds, otherwise which takes very long time. So make blueprints for lots of things and keep using it, because it just makes your work so easy. Speaking of refineries, don't make pipes too long. First, it will make driving on map very difficult. Its pipe becomes super long. Fluid transfer speed inside that pipe, whatever type of fluid it is, oil, gas, etc., it will slow down a lot. And in order to mediate this, you will need to install pumps in its way. So instead of doing that, use trains. For example, as you can see over here, I have train, and instead of long pipes from these oil fields, what I do is that my train just simply goes there, refills here, then the last tank refills here, and then it comes back. In regarding the final products, as you can see, I have train setups over here too. This one provides oil, and this one provides gas, and this one provides heavy oil to the rest of my factory, which is over here. So these trains, this is the heavy oil train, and this is the gas train. So this one provides petroleum gas, fills these tanks, and this one provides heavy oil, and they are stored in these tanks. And all of my factory works from this. As soon as you unlock it, get a tank as soon as possible. It will make dealing with biters very easy. You can easily destroy their homes and they will no longer attack you. Also, get a Spidertron as soon as you unlock it. Not only is it better than tank, but also it can go in almost all places without any issue. Add some exoskeletons in it and it will go faster. Something I see lots of people doing is that they don't change their module setup. Make some different modules and store it with yourself. Use it based on your needs. For example, this is my normal setup, but if I'm doing lots of construction, this will be my setup. As drones use lots of power, I will need lots of portable fusion reactors to power them. Similarly, there are other steps too based on my needs. So, in simple words, store modules in your logistics area and keep changing your modules based on your needs. Nuclear enrichment, or in this case, Corvex enrichment process. Start it as soon as you unlock nuclear technology. Reason behind this, when you start for the first time, this process is super slow. It will take very long time to get light green uranium. As you can see, very minimal light green is coming out of centrifuges. And in order to fix this, we need nuclear enrichment process. Just make one small scale, maybe 5 centrifuges are enough, and just leave it working. It will take super long to make first centrifuge work, but when it starts working, things will keep getting better and better after that. And later in game, when you are actually building a large scale uranium facility, all you have to do is to come back to oil facility, take the required light green uranium and place it in your large facility, and it will start working instantly. Another thing I learned, most of the time you won't need landfills, but when you do need them, you need shit ton of it. Initially what I did was create 3 storage boxes for and start storing landfill in it. Start making and storing landfill in it. But let me tell you, even these 3 steel large boxes, landfill inside it is not enough, because when you need it, you are gonna need way more than this. So instead, later on, I made this level, this type of structure. As you can see, I have lots of landfill, and so far, based on my gameplay, this has worked fine for me. So I guess you don't need to make a landfill setup bigger than this, but you are going to need a lot of landfill when it's needed, and it takes quite a lot of stone to make. So as you can see, all these miners are supplying stone to my landfill factory. And finally, most importantly, plan way ahead. If you just keep making things randomly and don't look ahead, you will get into very bad issues later on, forcing you to restart game. For example, this is my oil setup. If I run out of oil, I can simply extend my train tracks to new oil patches, and it will bring more oil to my facility. Same goes for other factories. If I did run out of resources, I can simply bring more through trains here, because there is so much space in my factories. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you have any other questions, you can ask in comments. If you want another type of tutorial video, you can ask about it. For example, SR Latches tutorials. And please like and subscribe, as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you guys again.